Hi, I've got Paul Clifford here with me today from Raine and Horne Rural SA. Wonderful to have you down here on our new property, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Belle. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
All fresh and new.
Yeah.
And just moved in. The bag's unpacked.
Oh, yes, we are completely in.
Good.
Yeah, no, and I'm not moving again for a long time. Hear that,
Good.
Pods?
Don't blame you.
This is it. This is our forever home.
No, well done.
Yeah, no, we're really excited and we really appreciate all the help that you and Brendan gave us in getting to this point. Talking about rural properties, specifically here in South Australia and in the Fleurieu and Adelaide Hills region, are you seeing a slowing down in the market at all, or is it still going from strength to strength?
Yeah, thanks, Belle. Absolutely not. Probably surprised as we start the new year. I had a few properties come on and, you know, I was expecting, like everyone else was saying, that it may be a little bit more sluggish than it has been. And absolutely anything but that. Yeah, demand has been really, really strong. Plenty of people turning up at opens or plenty of people wanting to view private inspections. And it seems to be just marching along really nicely. Yeah.
And is there any difference in the smaller acreage, say 3 to 10 acreage properties versus the larger, perhaps more productive agricultural land? Is there any difference?
Look, demand is still just as strong. Probably the only thing I would say, the smaller lifestyle blocks, we're probably seeing more finance buyers there.
What do you mean by finance buyers?
People that are, moving out. Sort of, it's their upgrade, I guess. Maybe they might be selling a smaller home in town somewhere, and this is their wish. They've got young kids, etc., or they're getting to that semi-retirement age, sick of the gutter-to-gutter stuff, so they're heading for the joys of the country. Right behind us here, the joys of the country, and so it is a step up. So they're needing finance to make that step up in the property world. Where the bigger properties, it does seem to be generally people that are coming into a new area where they've sold elsewhere, so they're cashed up, ready to go.
Right, so they would generally already be in the agricultural industry, already primary producers?
A bit of a combination, Belle, yeah. So we're getting guys. I've had a bit of a run with guys coming down from the territory that have sold stations in the territory, pastoral areas, the southeast, upper southeast, lower southeast. Combination of people that are sort of at retirement age but still just want to hang in, so just want a bit of land to play with.
Yeah.
Sort of sold elsewhere. So that's mainly on the bigger stuff, yeah.
So there's two different groups really of people that are looking at buying, maybe the smaller acreage, 3 to 10, 15 acres, and then the larger, more productive ones. Are they looking for different things when they're looking at the land? So is one more focused on the house or the homestead and the garden, and the other looking at more productive agriculture where they're keener to see soil tests, water tests, that kind of thing?
Yeah, getting a real combination, Belle. I guess without being sexist, the men of the house, they look straight at the land and go not too fussed about the house. And I always say, well, look, you need to be a bit fussed about the house because you spend a fair bit of time in there still. Yeah. The wives, partners, etc., they're probably a bit more interested in the home as well. But a combination, and still we get some people that if they're living, let's say they're not living on farms, the home is pretty secondary. So that's probably the great thing, I suppose. Everyone wants something slightly different, and I guess that's why, if we've got our buyer's hat on, we all don't buy the same property. Everyone's looking for something a little bit different, yeah.
So if you're looking to sell a property at the moment in the Adelaide Hills and Fleurieu region, what are some of the things that you would look to do to make your property more attractive to buyers? So are there some high level things or things that are really worth doing, and some other things that are perhaps just nice to do? But I guess if you look at a house, there are things you want to hide, or things you sort of paint the house, or you do up the garden at the front door, or things like that. What are the things that you should be doing for your rural property to make sure you get that sale and that price that you ultimately want?
Yeah. Well, yeah, look, I'd say at the moment it's worth it because real estate prices, we've never seen them higher. And so, I say the difference between a great price and a, extraordinary price is that little bit of effort. Now, if we've got a very elderly farming couple, we try and go a little bit easier on them perhaps, unless they've got some outside help, or we can actually, supply. That's what you guys are for. We recommend other help, but some people do find it daunting. And I actually find some of the elderly people actually probably struggle to flip the switch to put a property on the market because they don't know where to start. And so we'd like to think we're really helpful in not putting pressure on them, but just offering subtle suggestions of how to get the property ready. Quite often I'll see Farmer John walks into his shed. He walks in there and goes, right, I need to make a start. Looks at the shed and daunting.
Quite overwhelming.
Yeah, overwhelming. Yeah. Locks the shed, goes back and I'll look at that tomorrow or next week. So, it's important, without being pushy or overstepping the mark, that we say, look, we can offer assistance and help, and giving the right people that can help them if they haven't got family members or it's a bit beyond them. Because overwhelming is the word that comes in a lot. Yeah,
sure. So when we're asked to come on board and help out with somebody who wants to sell their property, generally it's the obvious things like there might be a tree over a fence. And so we're called in to cut the tree up, get rid of the firewood or stack it somewhere and repair the fence. Is that the kind of things, are they worthwhile doing, or is that just a part of rural life?
Look, certainly worth doing, Belle. Yeah, look, a bit of both. It is part of rural life. Certainly that comes as one of the job lists. That you're going to have some maintenance, and generally that's what people want too. That's their therapy. So if you've been working in your 9-to-5 job, you come home, cutting up a tree can be therapy, or doing those jobs can be a bit of therapy.
If you've got time, of course.
If you've got time, yeah, that's right. And again, for the bigger stuff, that's where we say we get the experts in and, pass over, details for the people that can handle that. A lot of people on the smaller blocks too, I say it may not be worth having the machinery to do some of these jobs, if you're repasturing, spraying, refencing, etc. And they just have to, work out what they think, is a viable option of what machinery and plant do they want, and what stuff do they want to outsource to contractors.
Yeah.
So that's always a consideration as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I know that from our point of view, we've looked at quite a few properties recently to buy, and some of the things that sort of put us off was the initial presentation, like the gateways, whether they've got weeds everywhere, which probably means they've got weeds in their hay paddocks, or gates that are not hung properly, and rubbish all over like fencing wire all over the paddocks. Some of those obvious things, I know we paid attention to it, but I wonder if that's a really personal thing. Sometimes some buyers are going to look for that stuff and go, I don't think this property's been well looked after. It's not worth the money. I can't see how I'm going to make it productive in a reasonable time frame. Yeah. Whereas if those jobs had already been done when the buyers walk in, you can instantly say, well, I don't need to worry about the rubbish. I can go straight ahead with the production stuff. And I know everything else has been taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I say, you walk into a property, presentation's everything, and as soon as you walk into a property, people might say, "Oh, yeah, well, of course, yeah, my property's tip top. Of course it is. I've got enough experience to walk in and go, righto, I can see who's fertilised and who's got good pastures and who hasn't, and you can tell that from the livestock as well. Some people, I guess, they've walked over that piece of wire or that piece of, that bit of farm scrap for years and they don't see it. So again, subtly and sometimes not so subtly, I like to sort of point out and to say, hey, look, this will help you, as again we said earlier, go from a good price to a great price. Just those little bits and pieces, because people walk in and they go, okay, we can tell this property feels loved. There's a big difference between a property that feels loved and doesn't. That's the difference. So, really important to me.
And do you find people looking to buy rural properties tend to always ask for fertiliser history, water tests, maybe hay tests, or do they not worry about that, knowing they're going in and going to do all that stuff and start from a clean slate? Do you think having that paddock history, that agronomy history, it helps sell a property?
Look, certainly it depends on the size, Belle. But for the bigger broadacre properties, yes, it certainly helps. So when we can produce data, fantastic. I love data. And sometimes we are swamped with really good data, and other times we get very, very little. So if we've got it, we provide it, and people love it, and you see that they'll be pouring through the data. But there are plenty of times when we don't. So certainly, we can produce some pretty damn good documents and information memorandums. That's Ted.
Yeah, that's Ted.
Choking on a dead rabbit or something. So look, if we've got the info, we can produce some pretty good stuff. But there are plenty of times when we get fairly minimal, material given to us. So if we haven't got the material, we can't supply it. Certainly, it's interesting. Hay testing. really rarely get asked it.
Do you?
Which I'm surprised. Yeah, we really get asked hay testing data. But soil tests, fert history, any pasture data, yeah, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there were two things you would suggest for people, if they were looking to sell their property, what are two things you would suggest they really need to do to get that that high price that we're talking about? What are those things that you say to every seller?
Yeah, certainly for the broadacre properties, gateways, gateways and fencing, the obvious stuff, so that we can get some flow happening.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've got a potential purchaser in the car and he has to go and wrestle with a gate for 5 minutes to get through, it takes his focus. I want him, in the car, bang, gate open, gate shut, away we go.
Yep.
If their focus is wrestling with a gate and rusty old wire, it's not number one. It's not a good look.
No.
And we lose some momentum on our conversation.
Yes.
On talking about the property.
Yes.
Especially if he picks up a gate and it collapses on the ground alongside him. It's just not a good look.
No.
Of course, as I said, I want people, and in an ideal world, when we have, if we haven't got stock on every property have the gate, we want a bit of flow through.
Yes.
So again, wrestling with the gate's not an ideal way, or rusty old wire of getting that momentum rolling. Yeah.
Yeah.